Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1347B and today's date is August 2nd, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Bad Guys Believe They Have the Upper Hand. Wait for it. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we've been seeing the same thing happen time and time again where the establishment, the deep state, the central bank, those who want the truth to be hidden, they have control, yes, of social media platforms. They still have control of the corporate media, and it looks like they're pushing their agenda forward. Remember, they still have control of all of these systems. They're still intertwined within the government. And YouTube, well, they've been battling this, and there's been pressure to basically censor those who have a different opinion of what the deep state might be pushing out there, what the corporate media might be pushing out there, and they're very worried that people are listening to alternative media sites. So YouTube set up rules, just like every other social media platform. And they set up, rules of saying, listen, you can't talk about war, you can't talk about controversial things, you can't talk about pretty much anything. You can show a cat video, or you can show some type of funny video. That's A-OK. Well, now they've taken it a step further. Now, content creators on YouTube, those who follow all the site's rules, they still may face censorship under new plans announced by Google. Now, according to a post on YouTube's official blog, videos will be subject to the rule of the mob. If enough users flag a video as hate speech or violent extremism, YouTube may impose restrictions on the content, even if it breaks none of the rules on YouTube. Now, the question is, are they going to review this, or are they just going to go along with what everyone says? So, YouTube has rolled out a trusted flagger program in which 15 expert NGOs and institutions will help them identify hate speech, extremism, or maybe controversial topics. They'll review truth, and if they feel that, this is too truth-worthy, we can't let this out there. And it looks like what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking down, or I shouldn't say taking down, I should say hiding the videos, where they'll never let anyone see them. They will bury them so far, even if you tried to search for them, you will not find them. So what they're going to do, they'll be applying tougher treatment to videos that aren't illegal, but have been flagged by users as potential violations of their policies on hate speech and violent extremism. If they find these videos don't violate the policies, but contain controversial religious or supremacist or any other type of content, they will be placed in a limited state. The videos remain on YouTube behind some type of wall where no one will see them. They won't be monetized. You won't be able to comment on them. You won't be able to suggest them. You will not be able to like them. Basically, they'll be set up in a limbo area where it doesn't even matter because no one will ever see them. This is the approach they are now taking to make sure that people don't hear the truth of what is really going on. This is how afraid they are. Now, you can see that the deep state, the corporate media, they're going to blame Trump for the economy coming down. That's a given. They're already starting to blame Trump for what is happening in Obamacare. They're saying the rates are going up and it's because of Trump. Because we're seeing a lot of health insurers, they are going to be raising the rates by 30% or more in 2018. Now, thank God we've been following this all along. Because those people who really haven't been paying attention and just listen to this, they'll say, oh my God, look at this. Because what he did in Congress and what happened here, and he's not supporting it, now rates are going up. Well, no. Co-ops, have been going bankrupt. Half of them are bankrupt right now. We've lost billions and billions of taxpayers' money. We've seen premiums soar since Obamacare came into existence. So over the past 4 years, premiums have soared on average around 113%, or 30% a year. So this is not anything new. This is something that we've been tracking to make sure they couldn't say, oh, it's because of this. It's almost like the retail industry. Well, the retail is suffering right now because it snowed in one state. It's the same thing they're doing here. Trump came into office. He doesn't like Obamacare. He's not supporting Obamacare, so he's the reason why premiums are moving upward. No! Again, fake, phony, and false. Now, what is happening here is the noose is tightening around the deep state. Is it really, really tight where they're choking? No, not yet. But we can see everything is being set up right now, where we can see that there's a whole list of individuals that are now being investigated for unmasking. We know that Obama has been spying on Trump and many others. We see there are certain individuals, like Ben Rhodes, for example, former aide to President Obama. He is now a person of interest in the House Intel Committee's unmasking investigation. And there are, of course, the others. We have Susan Rice, we have John Brennan, we have Samantha Powers, the ambassador to the UN. And we can see right now there are going to be many, many others that they're going to be looking at. Because what is happening is the truth of the matter is coming out. Slowly but surely, but it's coming out. Now, we see that Trump signed the sanctions bill against Russia, which at this point, there weren't many options. Yes, he could have vetoed it, but it was veto-proof, so it wouldn't make a difference. Yes, it would have shown everyone that he was completely against this, and maybe he should have done this. Maybe that would have been the right thing to do. But what he was trying to do is he was trying to show that he was part of the party, which I don't personally agree with. I think, you know something, the party's not with you. The Republican Party, the Democratic Party, you're a lone wolf right now. It's time to take charge and forget about all of them, because they're not going to be working with you whatsoever. I think maybe in his mind, he thinks that he's trying to sign it and have a national type of unity where he can show everyone, look, yes, I'm with you. I think it's a waste of time, personally. Now, he went on to say that the legislation included a number of clearly unconstitutional provisions which encroaches on the executive branch's authority to negotiate, something he blamed on the hasty manner in which the bill was put together. Now, I think he's building this up to show that he might not follow the entire sanction bill all the way through. He signed it, and now he can say, you know something, through executive order, I don't believe this is constitutional, so we're not going to follow that. I think this is where we are headed with this, and we'll have to wait to see what does occur. Now, what is very interesting is that Rex Tillerson stated that both he and Donald Trump were unhappy about the bill, but would try their utmost to work around it and pursue their versions of improved relations with Moscow. Now, their version of what they believe the sanctions bill is, and we discussed this before, where I think he's might be maneuvering around what they put in the bill. Maybe he doesn't follow everything. Now, Tillerson is out there, and he's saying, listen, the relations between the U.S. and Russia, they're under considerable stress, so he's going to meet with Lavrov to try to calm everything down, because we can see what's happening right now. And again, this is all part of the process. Nothing is black and white. God, it would be great if it was black and white, but it isn't. We have powers on all sides trying to push their agenda right now. And we have Nikki Haley out there, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, where she is out there saying, listen, there's no reason to talk to North Korea. We have Lindsey Graham saying that Trump already has a battle plan to go into North Korea. And this would be absolutely ridiculous to use. And do I think he's going to do it? Absolutely not. Because if this was truly the case, he'd be in Afghanistan bringing more troops into there. He'd be bringing tons of troops into Syria. What would be the purpose to go into North Korea at this point and start a war? Because we know what's on the other side. China and Russia. Just like in Syria, China and Russia are on the other side. This would make no sense whatsoever. And it looks like Trump and Tillerson, it looks like they're playing bad cop, good cop here. Because Trump is saying, and he's talking very sternly about North Korea and how this is ridiculous and they shouldn't be doing this. And this is to bring, everyone with him to try to win people over. Then we have Tillerson, where he's offering a different perspective on it, and he stated the following: "We do not seek regime change. We do not seek a collapse of the regime. We do not seek an accelerated reunification of the peninsula. We do not seek an excuse to send our military north of the 38th parallel. We are not your enemy, but you are presenting an unacceptable threat to us. We hope that at some point we'll begin to understand that, and we would like to sit and have a dialogue with North Korea." Now, at the same time this is happening, we have both China and Russia. They have set out their terms for solving the issues in North Korea. Now, the points Russia and China have made at the United Nations, among other places, include the following: a request that the U.S., Japan, and South Korea cease military exercises in and around the Korean Peninsula. A request that the U.S. cease future deliveries of the THAAD missile system to South Korea. A request that North Korea cease its missile tests. A call for dialogue between all parties, including North Korea, to reach a deal on de-escalation on the Korean Peninsula. A rejection of crippling sanctions on North Korea, which could cause deprivation among civilians. So we see right now there is a push to have peace in the area. Just like Russia was pushing peace in Ukraine, Russia was trying to get the United States and the coalition forces to work together to fight the terrorist groups. And we knew this wasn't going to work because the United States, the coalition forces, they're the ones who created the terrorist groups, and they weren't going to fight against their own paid mercenary soldiers at the time. Now we see the opposite happening, where they're actually going after the Islamic State. They were trying to remove them. Trump is not bringing troops into Afghanistan at this point. And we can see that the deep state, individuals in the Pentagon, they decided to have a test of an ICBM. They fired this missile from the Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, about 130 miles northwest of Los Angeles. It flew towards the Marshall Islands, and this is about 4,200 miles, to show that, look what we can do. Now, should all the other countries around the world saying, hey, you just fired an ICBM into the Pacific, are you planning to use this on any of the other countries around the world? I mean, think about what is happening here. Every country has the right to defend themselves. Every country knows what the deep state does to countries that don't have nuclear weapons. They have regime change. And this is what they're trying to stop. Now, China, they've officially opened their first overseas naval base in Djibouti. And we can see that the United States was actually kicked out. And now we can see that the Chinese are moving in. They have over 2,000 Chinese military servicemen, and they'll be deployed at the base. And this is all part of the Silk Road, where the Silk Road is going to be running through Africa, through Europe, and the United States is going to need to hop on board because the trade deals among all of these nations is going to be incredible. And if the United States is left out of this, well, then the United States is going to be isolated. Because once the dollar is no longer the reserve currency, this is where the problem comes in. We're going to have to produce something. We can't depend on a system where a central bank creates the currency ongoing, and the rest of the world just believes that everything is okay, because that's what's happening right now. Because eventually they're going to say, you know something, do we really need the United States? What do we need them for? We have the Silk Road, we're trading in our own currencies, we're selling the oil, and people are using other currencies. What's the purpose of the United States right now? They don't have manufacturing. They're fat, they're lazy. They have service, retail, which is collapsing. They have a food industry where people go out to eat. Do you think other countries want to do business with the United States? No. We need to bring back manufacturing. We need to produce once again. The world is changing, and if we don't change with it, well, we're going to be left out of it. Now we can see that the Gulf nations were back to square one. Now they are asking for the full 13 demands. That's all they want. Forget about it. We don't care what Qatar has to say. They're doing the same. We're back to the same exact point. So again, Qatar is not going to give in. The Gulf nations, they're not going to invade. It's never going to happen. And their pressure is not going to do anything. Look, they tried to take back Yemen. Saudi Arabia, the United States. The United States was using Saudi Arabia as a proxy army. How'd that turn out? There's this ongoing battle that's continually going on and on and on. They haven't taken back anything. And we can see in Iraq, we can see out in Libya, we can see out in Syria, the empire building, it's coming to an end. We see these Syrian armed forces. Well, they are pushing forward. They have taken over the ISIS pocket in East Raqqa. We see already that the moderate rebels, they broke the ceasefire already. And we see that at this point, Russia, Syria, they are pushing the forces out of the country. Now, in the southeastern part of Syria, we can see another U.S.-backed group. It has defected over to the government forces. And we're seeing this a lot where they're saying, okay, there's nothing we can do at this point. This whole operation is coming to an end. We might as well join the government forces. We'll get paid. We'll be on the winning side. And you know what? We're done with this. And we're starting to see this quite a bit. And we're starting to see a lot of these paid mercenaries actually pick up and run right now. The whole thing is completely falling apart right now. And we can see that this plan that has been pushed since the beginning, it's coming to an end. And the plan that the good guys have, well, that is slowly creeping up right now. The bad guys right now, they think they have the upper hand. They think, oh, we have the corporate media, the news outlet, that's our mouthpiece. We can just keep on saying Russia, 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 dossier. We can keep saying Russian collusion and people will believe. But we can see from the latest polls, nobody believes it anymore. And what we're seeing right now is the system, and I'm talking about the global economic system, it's all coming down. They're losing the Middle East. And every day that goes by, they lose a little bit more of it. And they're trying everything they possibly can. They're trying to get war started in North Korea. They're trying to say that we're going to go in there with a surgical strike. They're saying that we're going to use, nuclear weapons and we're going to hit North Korea and just destroy them. They're doing whatever they possibly can. They're using the propaganda. They're using the corporate media, the neocons, the deep state. They're pushing as hard as they possibly can because they know they don't have the upper hand. The plan is not viable anymore. Their plan is not going to work. It is falling apart in front of them. Now, the corporate media is never going to let on until the very, very end. It's almost like when the economy is falling apart, just like in 2008. No one really wanted to admit that the recession really started a lot sooner than the market falling apart in 2008 and then back in 2009. Of course, they go back in time and they tell you afterwards, after everything's said and done. The same thing's going to happen here. They don't like to give up. So they'll just keep spouting all of this out until the very end. But one thing is for sure, is a constant, that the system they set up, the global economy, the empire building, it's all going to crash down around them. And we need to be ready for this. We need to be ready to take control back. We need to be ready to say, you know something? No more. We've done it in the past. The Founding Fathers have done it. Andrew Jackson has done it. We can do it once again, where we take back the country. Because our Founding Fathers said, listen, we've given you this freedom. It's not going to last forever. You're going to have to fight for it again, because these type of individuals, they always spring up. They always try to take control. They know how to manipulate. They use cash to do it. They've done it in the past. They pay people off. They create money out of thin air, and it's very easy to say, here's $1 million. We just paid you off. And we can see right now, we're heading towards this period of time where the people of the United States, we need to clean house, take back control, and say, no more central bank, no more neocons, no more deep state. What is done here is for the people, period. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.